Welcome back, family. As I've been doing this, I've become not only a bourbon nerd, but such a fan of the history. And I've talked before about Prohibition, and I often wonder how that must have been. So, Prohibition from January 1920 until December 1933, alcohol was not allowed to be made. Specifically bourbon as it relates to us. And the only thing that kept bourbon alive was, and I've talked about it before, the act, the Volstead Act of 1919, which actually allowed distributors to make medicinal bourbon. Now, leading up to that, there were thousands of distilleries across the country, 210 just in Kentucky alone. And most of those went under, selling stuff, closing, whatever they could do just to get out of it. But this Volstead Act allowed medicinal bourbon to be made, but it had to be 100 proof, and they could only allow a little bit every 10 days or so. And from that, there were only 6 companies that had licenses to produce this medicinal bourbon. And for our purposes, there's only fewer than that still exist. American Medicinal Spirits, which is now part of Beam Suntory. The Four Roses now, which was Frankfurt Distilleries back then. Brown-Forman, which is Old Forester, and it still is Brown-Forman. And the A.P.H. Stitzel Distillery, which is part of Stitzel-Weller. Some sources say that Buffalo Trace is one of the few continuous operating sites, and realistically, Old Forester is the only one that is known to have been producing before, during, and after Prohibition. Although Buffalo Trace is the oldest continuously operating distillery. So I think it's very fascinating that that's what it took, and they had to have specific labels, and again, it had to be bottled in bond, which is 100 proof. And some of that stuff got up to 17 or 20 years old back then. And like I said, as bad as it was, it did still give us our speakeasies, which now operate in a different capacity, but they are still pretty cool. So just sharing a little more bourbon nerddom with you. And remember, always use 2 fingers. Salute.